Former Trump advisor Steve Bannon is just days away from the start of a 4-month prison sentence for contempt of Congress. That is, unless the Supreme Court agrees to Bannon's last-ditch request to remain free while he appeals his conviction. Today, the Justice Department urged the High Court to deny that request. But for a man who could possibly be reporting to prison this Monday, Steve Bannon appears sort of unfazed. In a new interview, he tells Time magazine reporter Eric Cortellessa, "I don't fear this at all. I'm a political prisoner." Cortellessa writes that Bannon is attempting to rally an audience he calls an army of the awakened to sustain his anti-establishment crusade. By playing the martyr, Bannon hopes to elevate his brand of burn-it-all-down populism ahead of the presidential election. Joining me now is Eric Cortellessa, national politics reporter for Time magazine. Eric, thanks for joining me tonight. My first question is the sort of understanding he has about being sidelined in the months leading up to this presidential election, given what you write about the real leadership role he plays in the MAGA movement. You write, unlike other MAGA media personalities who largely seem to follow Trump's lead, Bannon can rightly claim influence over the movement. So what are his prison plans?
Well, I think that Bannon sees his prison sentence as an opportunity to fortify support for him as a martyr for the cause, and he's going to try and capitalize on that as much as he can in the days leading up to him reporting for prison in a Connecticut penitentiary. And he's going to try and lay the groundwork for this anti-establishment crusade that he believes can help deliver the White House for Donald Trump, where he can unrestrained embark on the right-wing nationalist populist agenda that he's promising. I think in prison, Bannon plans to spend his time in the library, following the news voraciously, communicating with his associates so that he can still have a role in shaping messaging going into the election. Yeah,
he told you think I'm going to come out and be prison ripped? No, I have a lot of work to do. So he's not going to be pumping iron in the yard. He's going to be continuing on with his messaging and missives. Eric, talk to me a little bit about what you saw behind the scenes at Bannon's lair in terms of his consumption of media and his battle his planning for battle, if you will, his strategizing.
Well, I spent some time with Bannon recently during a Saturday morning recording of his podcast at his Capitol Hill townhouse, once known by all as the Breitbart Embassy. And, it's a bit of what you would imagine from the popular understanding of Bannon, the imagination of Bannon. It's cluttered, it's sun-deprived, it's full of all these Bannon curiosities and tchotchkes, including, shrines to MAGA icons like Peter Navarro and even a bust of Bannon himself. And, Bannon he watches MSNBC religiously, by the way, and he is really monitoring who he sees as the opposition and the information war in order to build up MAGA as a social movement as much as he can so that it can have the greatest influence throughout the next couple months leading up to when voters will cast ballots. But also, if Trump wins, he wants to see these kinds of ideas be imposed. An hostility to immigration, hostility to free trade, and an aversion to foreign entanglement. So he's really trying to build the infrastructure for a Trump revolution.
What I think is a development, at least if not actually surprising, is the handshake between Republican establishment leadership and the cause of Steve Bannon. I wonder what your impressions were of the work that the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, did today on behalf of Steve Bannon, effectively, distancing Congress from the work of the January 6th committee so as to negate Bannon's contempt of Congress conviction. What is the relationship he has with that kind of wing of the Republican Party, which is by no means moderate, but is not the wing of Marjorie Taylor Greene?
Well, I think it goes to show just how effective Bannon has been at transforming the Republican Party into sort of the political wing of the MAGA movement through War Room, through his allied MAGA media personalities. He's really created a fighting machine, as a top aide to President Trump told me, to go against Republicans who are not in line with Trump. He has built a media ecosystem that can exert pressure, and you have people who work in tandem to coerce Republicans and try to dismantle the old guard Republican establishment. establishment. I think this shows just how effective he has been at doing that really since January 6th, when MAGA as a movement has only grown in size and strength. Well, it's a fascinating read. I guess I'll say I'm glad that Steve Bannon's watching MSNBC. I'm just going to leave that there hanging as if it's a question because I'm not entirely sure. Eric Cortellessa with Time Magazine. Thanks for the great reporting, Eric. It's good to see you. Thank you.
Hey there, MSNBC fans. I'm Luke Russert, and be sure to join me, Rachel Maddow, Jen Psaki, Lawrence O'Donnell, Steve Kornacki, Joy Reid, and many more September 7th in Brooklyn, MSNBC Live Democracy 2024. Click on the link for ticket information. We will see you there.